Buonasera, this is Beatrice con Parole Amate at ICC. We're celebrating the week of Italian language in the world with the letter O, and the concept of Otio. Otio, which comes from otium, the Latin otium, O-T-I-U-M, and that sort of it's something scorned and something aspirational. It has this sort of constellation where it is the idea of flow and leisure and pleasure, all the way to indolence, apathy, idleness, bigellonare. That's another Italian verb that perhaps resonate with the idea of oziare, to be lazy. So it has this whole constellation. We'll start perhaps with the idea of to rest, to enjoy, leisure, long lunches, the sort of a sense of Italy as seen from abroad, more with La Dolce Vita, the Federico Fellini movie, that sort of gives this sense of even debauchery, moneyed debauchery, and but enjoyable. And prior to that, a life of leisure was this sort of ideal, very class-based ideal, where you would not get lazy, but rather dedicate yourself to education and physical activity, but without the burden of having to earn a living, because someone else was doing it for you, and sometimes for not very much money, not enough money, or for free, horribly. So yes, but there is the sort of aspiration of the noble man, particularly. And then on the other end of the spectrum is Dante, and how in the seventh canto of the Inferno, people who have indulged in Otio during life have a pretty hard punishment. They first of all are called accidiosi, from accidia, this sense of heavy indolence, blockage and laziness, really, and it's seen as a sin, as a vice. It's actually in the fifth circle out of nine being the worst, next to the irate people. And these accidiosi are stuck in dirty mud, this lorda pozza, Dante calls it, this belletta, again, the idea of dirty mud. And Virgil and Dante says, con gli occhi volti a chi del fango ingozza, because they're almost like eating the mud they're stuck in and barely able to talk. Sort of this mirroring of the stuckness and they were in life, this indolence. It's, I think, the second time I bring up Dante in our series, and I always think of my professor in high school, Tullio Andreatta, who taught us the Divine Comedy by walking in the room with no books, absolutely no books, because he knew the whole of the Divine Comedy by heart. So he would just start reciting wherever we were. Tullio Andreatta. Tullio is a Roman name originally that brings me to the final meditation of our Otio session. And this reflection is precisely about Otio, de Otio, by the Roman philosopher and politician Seneca in the 1st century AD. And he sees Otio as a necessary time of isolation in order to re-enter public life more effectively. So he sees that time of self-reflection as a necessary moment to then do public life more effectively and better. That's what he writes about anyway. And you'll see it sounds as if he's talking about social media, how he's imploring people to not get distracted, but rather find time to go within themselves. And I'll read it in a kind of imprecise translation, but something he says, retirement in itself will do us good. Only with time alone, and not when we're distracted by different opinions and crowds, will we be able to progress along an even and single course. We're not even stable in our vices when distracted, which is funny. Too much we depend on the judgment of others. And with this, in sort of exhortation by Seneca, I leave you and I will see you next week. Bye.